Laura online podcast. How are you, Laura White?
I am doing phenomenal today. It's Friday. Woohoo.
It's Friday. It's exciting. And, our topic today is why you choose to teach people to go organic and you do it the same versus paid when it comes to social media. And when I look at myself, I do paid ads as an agency. But when
Mhm.
I look at specifically organic, I see that you really can learn so much more about your brand organically. And there's phases. People who jump to paid ads first make mistakes. But let's talk about why organic for you.
Oh my gosh, you get to test the market, number one, and you get to time versus money because you can save a lot of money. If you know your audience very, very well, okay, ads are good. And I believe that you should be at a certain amount of money that you are making before you ever invest in ads. But the whole thing is, I love to teach people organically because it does time versus money. And if you know your audience, it's going to work very well. So that would be my answer right there.
Yeah, knowing your audience is such a big part of it. If you don't know your audience, you're going to fail tremendously. And I think you've learned this specifically in all the different social media platforms. And the mistake we make is we decide we're going to run paid ads. We got a great idea, yet we've never tested the market. And testing that market is so huge to know if your offer is the right offer.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually took a course on how to do ads. And the big thing is, it's all about testing. People think, oh my gosh, I'm just going to put some money behind some ads. But that's not the way to go. You've got to test, even if you know your audience very well, you have to test your ads. You have to test the market. You have to test the picture. You have to test the timing. You have to test the words. It's everything. So, you know what? I did that. I prefer doing organically. And so when you know your audience, and this is the key thing, Neil, people don't know their audience. They think they do. But when you know your audience so well, you know if they're married or not married. Do they shop at Target or Walmart? What do they like to listen to music? What do they like to do on their hobbies? What's their fears, anxiety, their worry? What keeps them up at night? What are their dreams, their aspirations? You have to know everything about your ideal client to be able to give the content that they want. And people just think, well, first of all, we all know if you help everybody, you help nobody. But the thing is, it's deeper and more intimate, basically. When you know your ideal client so well, you can answer all those questions that I mentioned.
And answering those questions is huge because ultimately, and that's where I guess when you talk organic, you look at live as an important part of the organic process. Going live to your audience really gives you that understanding that you can't do it using paid ads live. Live, that you're getting to test the market, and live, you're really getting to speak to your customers so that you really know what they want.
Yes. And you know what, Neil, too? The way to test your audience, too, is the analytics. I can't tell you how many people I audit every day that they never look at the analytics. I'm like, well, how are you supposed to know what's working, what's not working? And then if it's not working, you don't want to do content like that again. And if it does do, then why not take that information and make something similar just like that? Change your atmosphere, change your clothes, and change the words a little bit because you are now reaching your perfect ideal client if that content is doing well.
And if it is, and that's
Yeah,
and it will, and that's
it
the
will.
that's the key thing. If it isn't, it isn't. And so, and you'll figure it out, and then you have to reshape yourself running organic. Paid ads, another big thing that why I think you go organic is because you can really spend a lot of money and have no results. And what
Yes.
you have at the end of the day, you spend a lot of time, have minimal results, you still are building a foundation.
Yes, and I had a friend that actually spent like $10,000 on ads and she got lots of leads, but guess what? It was all the wrong leads. So it was not worth it for her because she didn't test it right. And so you can spend a lot of money. And that's why it's so important to test. And that's why, well, for ads, but I like teaching organically because you get to really know your audience. And it doesn't cost anything. Maybe talk a little bit of time, but there's a way to do it. There are certain ways that I love to teach my clients exactly how do you test that. It's not only just posting, it's not just going live. There's a strategy that really works, but you'll have to get a hold of me.
Okay, so you're not going to give that one. You're not going to give that away because you're working with
No,
people based
no.
on, but your time you spend organically, you feel that it is time worth the time to spend in organic versus paid.
Yes, absolutely. But also, you when you know the strategy. So if I were to do it all over again, I would have got a coach and a mentor sooner than what I had already done. So now I get to save you all the legwork, the time, the money, and everything, especially if it's organically, it's going to be more the time than anything. Nobody wants to circle around that mountain 100 times, right? Or for a whole year. So I show you the strategy that actually works. And it's that content, the strategy that you put into play that gets you the results that you want. So I always say, you want to know how to make content that converts? I'm your girl.
What's the best organic platform on social media?
I think it is TikTok. Facebook, I've been on Facebook for so long, 15 years, but you know what? It kind of just, it's so, the algorithm's always changing and you tend to almost reach the same people. TikTok, you can go on in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and you have another whole set of people that you meet. It is absolutely phenomenal. And if you're asking me, a 62-year-old, that TikTok was good, I thought you are crazy. I'll never go on TikTok, but it is the best thing since sliced butter.
What type of people you end up meeting on TikTok? Do you think are the type of audience you find organically?
Well, to be honest with you, you can meet anybody, but I don't get on TikTok and I do not, by all means, veer off to who my ideal client is because if you do, you confuse the algorithm. There is a thing called free up space on TikTok that you can actually clear it up. So let me give you an example. I get on there, I engage before I put my post or before I go live, right? Well, something catches my eye and I'm looking at a recipe, I'm looking at a cute baby, maybe some dancing steps or whatever. And what? I've just confused the algorithm. So if I did that, because we all do it, I go in and I teach people how to free up that space so it clears all that out. So before I go live or put my content out, the algorithm knows exactly who my ideal client is, just in case I veered left or to the right.
So the time you just gave us a secret and you didn't know you did, but I just figured it
No,
out.
I did give one. I wasn't going to give my big one.
You gave a very one that I can explain for the audience. Is basically the stuff you're consuming on TikTok
Mhm.
is going to be the stuff that they consume on you. So if you're not spending time with the right people consuming on TikTok, they're not going to give you that audience when you perform.
No, you're right. I mean, you have to have two accounts if you want to roam around on TikTok, and we all do. You have to have two accounts because you can't use your platform. You will mess up the algorithm, and you will not get the reach, the views, or the engagement on there.
The biggest challenge with organic also is you got a niche, and
Yes,
not all businesses are successful niching. That's the challenge, right?
right.
If you have multiple audiences, you're screwed on TikTok, you're screwed on Facebook, you're
Mhm.
screwed on Instagram, you're screwed on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that's why you should niche, but ultimately it just depends on your business. That's the hard part. So figuring out a way to follow the rules of what social media wants, because social media wants you to have one audience, not five.
No, you got to have one audience. It's just like any job. You go to a job, you're going to obey the rules. If you don't, you can get fired or something's going to happen. Well, you have to think of that too. You're on social media, you're like, oh, but I want to go enjoy it. Well, you're going to have to make two accounts or something, or maybe use Facebook for your business and go to Instagram to roam around, but you can't do it because you'll mess it up. But the most important is you have to find your perfect ideal client because when you speak to them, and this is when I told you exactly when you know those questions that I gave, if you know their fears, their worries, all that stuff, and what's their aspirations, when you know that and you speak content to like that, they're going to say things like, oh my gosh, did Laura just read my journal?
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, she's speaking my language. You want your ideal client to say that because now they're going to listen. Now they're going to stay all the way to the end and now they're going to consume more of your content.
So let's think about organically finding your ideal audience. How do you go about doing that in a way so you're not hanging out with all your competitors? Give you an example on Clubhouse. Clubhouse did the stupidest thing where they made sure all the competitors were together on the
Mm,
same stage. And I think that was a big mistake in the fact
mhm.
that given it organically for people who are creating communities, and they started doing that later, but it was too early in the process where whoever's at the biggest stage, that's the people, and most of them are competitors of each other. So how can you work with each other if you're competitors, especially if you're trying to pitch the same idea to whatever limited audience you have? How do you make sure when you're choosing organically on TikTok, Laura, that you don't end up just going to a bunch of digital marketers and they're not your clients at all? And you
Yeah,
follow.
you don't want to do that. Oh gosh, that's another secret sauce I'm going to give away. Okay. So the thing about it is, if you want to reach digital marketers, you do not want to follow digital marketers. I mean, you want to sell digital marketing products, you want to go to affiliate marketers, MLM, networking, maybe health coaches or coaches and stuff. You do not, because then you stay in this little cloud here and everybody's following everybody and you're not reaching out to other people. So if you, whoever you reach out to and you watch their content, that's all they're going to send to you. Well, I don't want digital marketers to already have my program. I don't want digital marketers to have something similar. I want to reach others. So that's why when you go into the For You page on TikTok, you want to make sure that you go into the other things like the affiliate and all the things that I had just shared. Same thing with Facebook too. You don't want to follow all the people that are, like, oh, I don't want to say a big name out there. I was getting ready to say his name. You don't want to follow all the coaches. You might
No,
want to follow like health coaches or leadership
to
coaches.
figure out
You're
who your
doing
target, right?
right. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, you follow who you want to be as your client. So
So this is the interesting question organically. And I'm going to be the devil's advocate with you because I do things differently. I used to have the viral stuff on Twitter years ago. I used to have the viral stuff on all these places. I don't
oh,
spend time on viral. I get the leads and I just go after them, get them offline, and that's it. And not spend so much time with engagement on social media as just getting them offline. That's my strategy. That's what I do is basically I don't even spend any time saying I'm not going to spend time on posts or different things. I'm just go after the ideal person, reach out to them, bring them on my show, and it's done. That's what I do. And then other people come to me. But that's from building a brand. So, what would you say to people that want to skip the content marketing, looking at the engagement, and go right to the leads instead?
oh my gosh, that is a great question. Well, for me, it's live. I mean, I love doing lives. I'm an extrovert. Lives are the way to go. If you give tips, tricks, and hacks. You solve one of their problems. And I'm on my live and I'm constantly giving. There's no such thing as I over deliver. There's no way. I'm gonna give a lot of information. I'm gonna help them. I know what they're struggling. I know what they're dealing with. And I give that on my live. They're going to sign up. And if they don't, and I got them close, because sometimes they say 7 to 8 times. But if you give a lot, it might be one or two. So if I've got them right there on the edge going, I don't know if I want to do that. I just met Laura for the first time, your email sequence. Oh, done. It's like boop, boop, boop. That's where the money is right there.
Totally. And so you and I, in a lot of ways, don't want to spend so much time
Yeah.
trying to create viral content. We want to get on with that audience as quickly as possible and get them offline to our whatever process. I'm more high ticket. You're more, you have a bunch of other individual things.
Mhm.
So I need less people, but
Mhm.
ultimately I spent so much time building a brand for years that I can go to that area. But when somebody finds it, they got to follow the right plan and action. And it seems like you did, but I think you and I both think organic is as valuable as paid.
It is totally. I
I totally,
absolutely love it more. I love organic. Love organic.
I think it's just because organic, you just have to put the time in. And when you get too busy, then you have to say, do you really want, and this is the thing, do you want people just to visit your site based on SEO, or do you want somebody who you know is your ideal client that came to you? I'm going
All
to
right.
tell you, those leads that just come to your website are just pricing, shopping. I'd rather have the person I'm going right after that I know is ideal. I'm going to have the great conversation and get the sale
That's
versus
true. That's
wasting
true.
all that time.
Yeah.
But again, paid ads are for specific things. But
Yeah, it is. It is.
and what do you think? A lot of your clients, you got to hit a certain phase to do paid ads, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. And I just stay away from it. Now listen, Neil, I'm in a different season of my life. I did all that. I did all the high ticket coaching. I did all that. I don't, my husband's retired. And so I wanted to have more time. So I had the team, I had all that. I don't care to do that anymore. Money's not everything to me. I love helping people and I still coach, but I wanted to teach people the different streams of income. And there's so many different streams that you can do. You might only want one or two, but I don't believe in this is just me. I don't believe in just one product. I just don't. And if you get anybody that I should say this, I'll say this over again. You get people like Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. Do they have just one product?
No.
Absolutely not. They have several. Do they do them all day long? No, they don't. Their revenue, they're like passive income, their residual income coming in all the time because they already set up those things like your email sequence. So,
And
yeah.
that's the things you'll teach. So that's
Yes.
where people can go, is to kind of set up everything and get going and get started with you. Where can they go?
Yes. The best way to reach me is Laura at laurawhite360.com. That's the best way to do this. And if you are not following, subscribe and follow because I always give tips, tricks, and hacks.
All right. That was a special simulcast Neil Haley Show and the Prosper of Laura podcast, guys. Take care.